Okay, I think we are good to go.
Okay, we are ready then.
Yep, yep.
Uh, well, I'm in the game study. You're also here, okay?
Hmm.
Well, I've been looking at some of your games. You've been playing a lot of classical. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to set a new personal best on classical, so I've been playing a lot of
And
classical. Yeah.
I've seen that you are over 2000 in all your time controls, so congratulations on that.
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
Um,
Yeah, the nice thing is, since not a lot of people play classical, I'm actually getting some higher pairings. In fact, yesterday I played an FM. Um,
yeah, I saw that game.
I
He kind
unfor-
of tricked you in the move order in the
Yeah,
opening game.
unfortunately, I like the English. I don't know any theory of the English. I was hoping I could play something I knew, but it was it.
Yeah, I'm going to try and look for something for your repertoire there because, well, you're an IMSO Indian player, so uh, yeah, we can try uh, to play something along those lines, maybe.
Yeah, that's partly why I played like against the English. I played knight f6, e6 to try to stay within the Nimzo structures.
Yeah, yeah, there are a lot of move orders to verify though, because that e4, for example, is problematic. I mean, it's perfectly playable, but it kind of takes you out of your
Yeah,
mate.
in that game, I didn't like knight c6. Afterwards, I looked and my repertoire move against e5. So against c4, knight f6, knight c3, e6, e5. I should have played d5.
Yeah, D5 is, I don't know if it's the main move, but it looks
Yeah,
like
it's the
it.
main line. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's then it gets really wild. I think then yeah, the if you follow that main line, it gets to a really crazy game. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I think he has to take on D5, play E5.
yeah,
I don't really know how to go sharp.
yeah.
Um, I wanted to take a look at a very recent game, actually.
Okay.
I think it was played yesterday. You weren't feeling well. I saw your stream
Oh,
and you
okay.
said that yeah, I could follow your thought process, and you weren't
Uh,
feeling well, but you came out very well out of the
oh,
open.
sorry.
So
Yeah, this is from yesterday. Yeah, I had a stomach ache yesterday. I had some Chinese food and it was pretty greasy, and I had a stomach ache. So
oh,
I was kind of a little not feeling so great, but I was still playing anyway. But
yeah,
yeah.
you even took a pill.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. You were
Yeah,
watching. Okay, good.
yeah. Um, Either way,
Oh,
you
right.
were
I
playing a
remember.
very strong player.
I got angry because my mind wasn't so great. This is. I thought maybe it was a Catalan, but no. This is of course the Queen's Indian, which I remembered afterwards. And so I got a little bit angry because normally my move against is I play the Bishop A6 line. Um, but what's
Yeah, I saw you
funny,
play.
yeah. But what's funny is I actually played kind of I think a second main line anyways in the game, so it actually turned out okay.
Yeah, you seem to be comfortable with it, and well, they are all related lines either way, so so that's okay. Bishop b7. Well, this is Queen's Indian main line, and now you gave a check on before. Well, is this your repertoire move?
No, well, no,
Yes, it is.
well,
No,
I mean, I played Bishop
aside from Bishop
A6.
a6,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I know that I don't know like in the Queen's Indian. I never watched any videos or read any books on the underlying themes of it. But looking at it myself, like looking at the repertoire moves, I found a recurring idea that Black seems to often give a check, and then it seems like Black is almost hoping for White to place a piece on d2, and then it's happy to bring the bishop back. Um, so that's kind of what I did. I don't quite understand the full logic of that. I'm guessing. Um,
Yeah, the thing is, the bishop. when you play bishop b4 check and then you go back to e7 when he plays bishop d2, the logic is that the bishop is kind of misplaced on d2. And sometimes white even plays bishop g5 even after going bishop d2. At this point, the two lines are possible. I mean, bishop e7 is the main line, the absolute main line. Bishop before check is perfectly playable too. I don't know if bishop d2 is the main line here. Maybe knight d2 is possible. Well, bishop d2 is still main line, quite clearly. The other possibility for white is playing knight bd2. The idea is that you have to give your bishop away by taking on d2 at some point. Otherwise, you're just going to have to go back. The bishop doesn't make much sense here on b4. But then again, maybe you can hit the center right away because this knight on d2 is kind of in the middle of the queen's way, so it's not so easy to play d5. There are options. I mean, this combination of b6 and bishop b4 check, which I've seen you play in the Nimzo Indian structures. Well, now there's a difference that there's no knight on c3, but it's playable too. You can play it in a similar fashion that you do in Nimzo Indian. Bishop d2, bishop e7 is correct. I mean, this bishop on d2 isn't that well placed. There might be some advantages and disadvantages compared to the main line. We're going to see what I think is the main disadvantage compared to the direct bishop e7 without introducing the check on before.
Although, if I may say, since I do normally play the bishop a6 line, I'm not sure how much I may need to know of this other line with the bishop on b7, just because I did mean to play bishop a6. I just wasn't thinking clearly. But bishop a6 is definitely my repertoire move.
Your main move.
Yeah. It's just kind of...
That's fine because it's so thematic that you're going to get a lot of positions that look very much alike either way.
Okay.
It's like what happens in the Nimzo. By the way, I saw you win a very nice game in the Nimzo.
I've had so many Nimzo games lately.
Yeah.
And I played...
I saw you beat a player rated around 2150, something like that.
Oh yeah, he fell right into my hands. That strategy that you taught me, and then I baited him into playing. So he played e4, I played e5, then he played d5. I got a knight on c5, I think, that game, and everything just went absolutely perfect. I had a game plan the whole way. It was actually not too hard to play because, as you know, it's so much easier to play when you have a game plan in mind.
Yeah, and it was kind of broad because after something like 15 or 20 moves, he was positionally lost.
Yeah.
It was a very nice game. But he castled, you castled, and knight c3. Up to this point, everything is perfectly normal.
Sorry, I just want to interrupt very quickly. Just related to the Nimzo again, there was one game where when I looked at it afterwards, I wouldn't mind you, I don't know if we have time to cover it, but there's a line in the Nimzo where you will place the knight on e5. In the Nimzo, there's a line where you place the knight on e5 at some point. Oh, sorry, e4. And I know that you mentioned that to me a long time ago, but I'm not 100% sure what we're doing on e4. I'm not really sure the game plan with that move, but we can possibly look at that when we're covering the Nimzo.
Yeah, you had that in one of your games.
Yeah, but I didn't play it, but I looked afterwards, and the computer and the database was suggesting knight e4 instead of what I played. I think I played I might have played something like knight b d7, and the computer was suggesting knight e4. It might have been, or it might have been something like that.
Yeah. Maybe you can send me that game
Okay.
later because in so many instances in the NIMSO you play 94 that well many variations of
Okay.
94 can come at some point.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll have to see that. Well, now you played c5 here. Now there's a big difference. If we compare this with the main line, in the main line let me go back a little. Instead of bishop b4 check, if you just go bishop e7, and we both castle, then knight c3, we have the same position, but with the bishop on c1. Okay. But here the main move is knight e4. What do you think that black is accomplishing with that? This might help you with the new souls.
Yeah. It's very, very similar. Well, I mean, the first thing that I look at is that we can possibly double up White's pawns. If he allows us to take on the knight, then we're into a Nimzo type structure. My main fear is our undefended bishop, but I'm also a little bit concerned about possibly losing a tempo. I'm not sure how it would kick us out, but if he takes and we take, our bishop almost seems a little bit awkward on e4. So, but to answer your question, what's the idea behind knight e4? Yeah, the only thing I can consider is that we want to take the knight on c3, double up the pawns.
Yeah, if he lets us, we are going to double the pound. But we're still fighting for e4. One of the points is that after this exchange, it's not easy at all to kick the bishop back. And White definitely doesn't want to exchange the bishop on g2, which is his best piece at many points. It's not easy to just kick the bishop back, and you're going to go d6, knight d7, knight f6, maybe f5 and knight f6, and you have very nice control of the light squares. It's not easy for White to do anything without exchanging another minor piece. That's the other thing. With knight e4, you're actually exchanging a couple of minor pieces in a position where you have a spaces advantage. If White were to play here, ideally he would go queen c2, so he would establish total control over e4, and then e4. And d5 by black encounters some problems with knight e5, and the pawn is pinned. It's not the end of the world, and it's played, and maybe in the game you had to play this way. But there's in that line, the bishop on d2 might help you with black, because then this pawn, I'm sorry, on d4 is a little bit undefended, because the bishop on d2 kind of cuts the queen. But well, the point of knight d4 is that you're going to swap a couple of minor pieces. That is some sort of relief for black, because he has some room for his pieces, and it helps you establish control of the light squares in a very strange way, because if he happens to take on e4 after bishop takes e4, there's not really a good way for White to kick that bishop out. In fact, in this position, White usually plays queen c2, and after we take on c3, well, there's a little nice trick here. Well, it doesn't work at this point, but what do you think about knight g5?
Sharp. Well, first of all, it looks like we might win a pawn. Was it giving a Zwischenzug check on taking on e2? Let's
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, here knight takes e2 check is strong. But in a very similar position, Capablanca fell for this knight g5 hitting on h7, and after bishop takes g5, then the bishop on b7 falls, and he has to give up the exchange after. He fell for that in the game. I don't remember the exact position, but well, here we have resource, an intermediate move that saves us, and it's a very important intermediate move. Otherwise, White's idea would be working. But here you have knight takes c2. That's right. So queen c2 is actually the way um, White tends to fight for the e4 square. And now d6 or bishop e4, either way, can be played. Well, now he has. Sometimes White even tries to remove the bishop after before going knight d2, queen d3, e4, but it's kind of complicated for White to kick this bishop out of e4. It's really difficult for him. So, well, let's go back to the game. In the game, we have the same position, but with the bishop on d2. What happens if we go knight e4 here, which well, might have the same idea? It's quite not the same, actually.
Well, the interesting thing is that he's got two pieces on e4 now. So if he moves his knight on f3, he's attacking e4 twice, and if I move the knight, then my bishop falls.
Yeah, still you have knight takes c3 hitting the queen d1. So
Yeah, okay.
tactically, it's still okay. The thing is, now knight e4, one of the points was that you were threatening knight takes c3, and he had to take with the pawn. Well,
Oh,
he
right,
doesn't
yeah.
have to take with the.
Yeah.
It's actually a strong thematic move to win space in the center. Um,
But it's White's move. You're saying there's a good move for White here?
yeah, he can achieve some nice space advantage in the center. Um, it's a very annoying move in the whole Queen's Indian complex. uh,
I'm not seeing it.
yeah, it's really not anything out of this world, but I asked you because it's very thematic and it's useful to think about it before seeing it. It's d5. This is a very, very annoying move in the whole queen scene. When you don't get to um, when you don't get to discuss the center seriously with black. And now he can get away with it because you don't have knight takes c3. In this case, he can take with the bishop, and then the pawn is defended. And the pawn on d5 establishes very nice space advantage. And it obstructs your bishop, which is actually quite useless now. And after white goes e4, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah.
It's a little difference. The
Can I,
bishop on
can,
d2 now.
can we just look at that a little bit
Yeah.
further? Because I was thinking of something like takes and then d6 and knight bd7 to f6. So,
It takes d5, yes.
and then I
it
was
takes.
thinking, like, is this so bad?
It's sort of restricted, and there are so many weak squares on the queen side. This backward pawn on the c5 might be a problem. I mean, d4, for example, now threatening to head to f5. Maybe you can even double up c5. You can play bishop f6 here, yeah. But still, white has stable advantage. He can start throwing his further e4, f4 maybe, and you're going to have a tough time with this backward pawn in the future, especially since you can't just play knight c5 because there's always a b4 to kick the knight out. And it's going to be difficult to find something to do for the bishop on b7 because if you go bishop c8, you're leaving a lot of weak squares.
Yeah, and I guess the knight and the queen are kind of fighting for the same square.
Yeah. Though you exchange a couple of minor pieces, it's still a little bit too restricted. What's especially worrying for me is the fact that you have so many like squares on the queen side. As long as this bishop is obstructed, it's a tough choice because if you go bishop c8, then you're kind of abandoning all the lights, and it should give you a lot of trouble. As a general rule, if white gets away with playing d5 and he can keep the pawn on d5, then you are in some kind of trouble in the Queen's India, and it happens a lot actually. This little detail actually deprives you of knight e4, the thematic move in the Queen's Indian to exchange these knights and fight for the e4 square. Either way, after d5, maybe you can try at least exchanging his bishop, and you can play a restricted position, but with a couple of bishops. Still, and this is considered to be a bit better for white because it's not that easy to put the bishops in place, especially this one. The guy is a problem. The bishop in b7 is kind of sad. The way you played c5, but I'm sorry, but that was kind of to illustrate a tiny difference between bishop d2 and bishop c1. The thing is, maybe to take advantage of the fact that the bishop is on d2, you can play d5 here, which is the main move. Especially because this pawn is now unguarded and you're going to have to go bishop f4, bishop f5 at some point. After knight d5, for example, knight d7, bishop f4 is the main line. You have to move the bishop before d takes c4 is a real threat. For example, after c6, which is what black usually plays. So bishop d2 and bishop c1 variations kind of tend to transpose into each other, into one another, and it happens a lot. I'm sorry, you went for c5 here, which has a similar problem. What do you think he could have played here?
Well, I can't remember what he did play. He might have taken, but I'm thinking just again d5. Well, hang on, no, that'll lose tactically.
Well, he took on c5.
Yeah.
And he can actually get away with d5.
But I thought
And this is another typical idea for white, so it's interesting to see
Yeah,
what happens.
I thought we could just take.
We take on d5, and if we keep taking on d5, then yeah, we're going to win a pawn back. White has a resource to just keep his pawn on d5. He can play knight h4, which seems a little bit unusual
Yeah,
first,
the knight
but
on b7 can often be a pain, right?
yeah, this pawn is going to be lost. And again, we have a very nice space advantage, and the knight is coming to f5. So there's even a gambit variation without c5 in the main. When the pawn, the black pawn is still on c7, and black can even win a pawn by playing c. But white gets a lot of compensation of because of the fact that a lot of squares appear on the center. And there's a famous game that first game with that variation. I think it was Polugaevsky against Korchnoi. And it was a very neat game by White. I'm going to look it up, and I'm going to send it to you because it's a very entertaining game. And that line was even favored by Alpha Zero in its match against Stockfish. The system played it as as white. Well, it's the kind of long-term pawn sacrifice that are made because positional considerations, and where Alpha Zero kind of dominated that stuff. But yeah, d5 is an idea that appears a lot, especially linked to this knight h4, and then we retake pawn on d5, and we have very nice space advantage. So that was kind of a missed chance. It happens a lot when you start seeing these structures in which we play this c5. It happened to me a lot in similar positions because, well, as you see a lot of Limso Indians with c5, it's kind of an automatic reaction to put pressure on the center. But yeah, here you probably have to go d5.
Yeah, often I know that d5 is a move, and often even the main line. I think part of me is just it feels wrong. It just feels wrong to block my bishop. I know at the same time I'm blocking his bishop, but just aesthetically on the board, it seems like such a wrong move to play. I know I'm not really thinking objectively, but that's why I kind of opt for C. It looks right, visually.
Yeah, I can understand that. It happened to me a lot before I saw that d5 is played in so many instances. It's not the move you want to make. I agree with that. Maybe you can see d5 as
temporary.
Yeah, it's just a step. Your idea is to open the diagonal either way. So you might not get to do it immediately after knight e5, for example. This is kind of common.
Oh no! Now it really feels wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately, the fact is that you have to build up slowly here. I don't know if c6 is the move here or knight d7. I think both are possible. But yeah, you have to build up slowly. It's not that black is trying to reason his own pieces. He's kind of trying to get the opportunity to get all his pieces out without suffering the consequences. And then he wants, of course, to go for c5 or detect c4, depending on the circumstances. Actually, after c6, it might be funny, but you're actually threatening to take on c4 because the pawn on d4 would be under attack. So and they are just steps in your plan of getting your pieces out and blowing up the center, not more than that.
Okay, so it's a long-term game plan.
Yeah, and I agree that d5 is not the move you usually want to make, but slow play doesn't yield good results here because if you play d6, for example, then he just gets to play queen c2, and he has e4 under control. And if he goes e4, then you're going to be very restricted with all your minor pieces over the board, without any real compensation for that. I mean, you're not lost, but you're restricted, and you have no reason to enter this. Well, you went for c5, and he took. So, well, he kind of solved.
I was a little surprised that he
problems with
took.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this shouldn't pose you great problems. I mean, now you're not even at the disadvantage in the center, and you're a move away from completing development. So this should be okay. A3, I guess it's fine. He wants to go b4, and I like your move. This structure, I mean, the b6 pawn might seem weak, but actually it's a very good restricted move. His structure isn't ideal on the queen side either, because the c4 pawn could be a target. A3 is a problem if you go a4 at some point. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, like, yeah, I wasn't too sure about a5. I know it's a very committal move, but I also saw that he kind of had a majority on like 3 versus 2, and I thought it might be to my benefit if I trade off the pawns. Like if he wanted to go full forward, you know, and we traded things off, I thought it'd be good for me because it's almost like a minority attack, right?
Yeah. Your structure is actually fine. He has to be aware of this a4. I'm sorry. At some point, that'll leave him with a huge hole on b3, and his pawn 6 to neck.
I guess one thing I didn't like about a5 was that we gave him a hole on b5 for his knight. So I think as soon as he played a5, I saw that, and I wasn't too happy about it. But at the same time, I don't think like these weren't crucial squares. I don't think.
Yeah, it's not that he's going to exploit that soft weakness. Knight b5 at some point, then d5 is going to be very easy to play, and he still has to be careful of a4 fixing the pawn on b2. So yeah, this structure actually tends to, especially since he has played this a3, a5. Actually, it's a pretty typical structure, and it's not easy to handle for white because he's the one who has a pawn that actually can be attacked pretty soon. You're solid here. Yeah, your assessment, I think it was right. Rook e1 to play e4, though it's kind of a committal idea at this point. He didn't go answer for it right away because he played queen e7, which is fine also, I guess. And now I would have expected him to play e4, but he went for knight e5. What do you think about that knight e5?
Reckless. I thought it was bad because he's trading off his bishop, his good bishop. I know my bishop is good too, but I think his is even better or more important because it's a fianchettoed bishop in front of his king. So I thought allowing me to trade bishops here was not a good idea.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, that's everything you wish for. After the light square bishops are traded, even his king is a little bit worse than yours.
Yeah. I think this is when I took on f2. Is this this game? Yeah. What do you think about that?
It looks sound. I mean, it's very difficult to play as white, especially because the material might. I think he could have kept the material even. The thing is that he has a lot of holes and many weak pawns, and it's uncomfortable to play as white.
I think that it's a little bit of a hard tactic to see as white because it doesn't really look like there's anything after f2, right? It doesn't really look At least at my level, it
Yeah,
doesn't seem so apparent that there's a tactic there.
yeah, no, then it wasn't present just a move before, so yeah, it's kind of unexpected, especially in this time control. This kind like, yeah, it's a real surprise. It's completely out of the blue. um, well, it was very well calculated. You could have also taken on G2, and you are doing very well here. But I like the fact you sharpen things up, especially since it's much more difficult to play as white here. E3, bishop takes G2, and then he took on D7. And well, in when I saw the stream, I saw that you were kind of worried because, hey, he's getting his pawn back.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, the thing is, he has so many holes where actually he didn't get his pawn back because then you ended up taking.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't see that until later.
Um, Position is horrible. I mean, so many weak light squares, and your position is so compact. I mean, you have no real weaknesses to worry about. Um, yeah, this is awful for him. Actually, I saw that the software. I wanted to see how lost he was, so I asked Stockfish, and it's very funny, but Stockfish thinks this is rather equal, which is very strange to me. After king takes, queen takes e5, and now e4. The continuation is logical. He has to activate his piece. He has to do something with his bishop. He's a pawn down. Yeah, material deficit at this point. And well, now he's threatening to play bishop f4 and going to d6, maybe blocking your structure a little bit. But I kind of don't believe him. um, Stockfish had said this was rather even, but it's, I mean, it was his only chance. His only chance. It's true that he can go, well, if he goes bishop f4, then c4 is falling, I guess. So I think the line went something like this. And yeah, he has compensation, but it's so difficult to go for this. Either way, I guess I think he had to play bishop f4, which is tough because you have to give another pawn just to have a grip on this seat. From a human perspective, this is horrible for white. Just looking at the position after it, he had to go for something like that and look for counterplay because after knight takes d7, you took, even if you didn't recover the pawn, I mean, even if you didn't win the pawn, because you're winning the pawn, after queen takes c4, he's pretty much doomed from a positional perspective. How do you see this?
Like,
Um,
how do I evaluate the position?
yeah.
Well, I do love that we can win a pawn. I mean, I'm so materialistic. But let's say, like, even well, without the pawn, obviously, I feel good that his king is kind of a little bit without proper shelter. I also think that his pawns are a little bit sporadic. Like they might be able to be more easily targeted. I feel a little bit uneasy about my knight on d7 because it seems a little bit awkward. Maybe I might consider something like moving rook in and then b8. I don't know. This knight is a little bit awkward, but I do think that white's pawns are a little bit sporadic, and his bishop is terrible. Um, Once I can control the C and D files, I think black will have most of the initiative.
Yeah. At this point, you might be practically winning from, at least from a theoretical point of view. Now it's a matter of technique, mostly. You took on c4, which is not easy at all, I must add, because sometimes we say, oh my God, how did I let this one slip? I was so, well, it's not that winning. I mean, yeah, you have an extra pawn, but it's not like you're just going to roll these pawns all over him. It still takes a lot of patience. It still takes good technique because you didn't do anything that. And that's what I liked about this game. It's not that you did something terribly wrong, and it kind of slipped away at some point. And that goes to show how important it is to keep finding strong moves that make your life easier, even in winning positions. Well, the knight on d7 actually has some very nice roots. For example, the knight on e5 is monster. It's actually hitting every possible square. Queen takes c4 was perfectly okay, I guess. I mean, the thing is, you shouldn't be that worried about the knight on d7 because he has a lot of perspectives. Actually, in the game, he went to c5 and he was perfectly fine. You were kind of pessimistic. I know you weren't feeling well at the point because you were feeling sick. It looked like you just didn't like the way you were playing, but up to this point, I was very happy with what I saw, actually. uh, you took on c4, and now queen e2. And you played queen takes c2.
Yeah, I thought about it. I thought about it. I get my logic was that we're pawn up, and I thought that having the queens on the board would allow white to complicate matters. Um, so it wasn't purely out of just wanting to simplify down, but more so I didn't want to give white counterplay. So that was why I traded.
Yeah, and the trade is perfectly fine. I mean, every heavy piece that goes out of the board is actually favoring you. You're a clear pawn up. The structure is better, so he's not going to save himself by trading pieces. That's clear. The thing is that maybe you can take advantage here of the fact that he's actually to exchange the queens himself. It's a difficult situation for white too because I'm sure he knows he shouldn't be trading pieces, but at the same time, king is so much worse than yours that he might have seen that at some point he can be in a lot of trouble because of the many weaknesses in light squares. I mean, if you go knight e5, rook fd8, you're going for an attack then. And it's not easy to activate the bishop on two without trading queens. So uh, it's kind of understandable that he went for queen e2. Maybe instead of changing, you can take advantage of the fact that he wants to exchange, make something better out of your piece before trading. So you're saying, hey, you want to trade?
Yeah.
Okay, my knight goes for, and it's going to be a very big knight. Of course, you're a lot better. You're still winning and all, but these little details actually make your life easier and complicates
No,
your opponents a lot.
I agree with that. Yeah, that looks like a good idea. Yeah.
Rook AC8 might be another idea in the same page. um, so you took rook take. Still, he has no counterplay. This is very awkward for him. Knight c5. Well, bishop e1, which I don't quite understand. Well, he might. I don't know why he didn't play e4 right away. Maybe knight d3. You're not that interested in just exchanging this if you don't have control of the open files yet. So bishop e1. Well, this was kind of a crossroads decision. You had to you had to choose a plan because you are well pretty much completely developed. And you did well here because you went for Rook FD8. Sometimes we tend to want to just force matters in this kind of positions, and uh, it's a kind of mistake that Rawson. I don't know if you heard about Rawson, the author of the seven deadly sins in chess.
No, I haven't.
Uh, uh, he's a very good author, a very original one. He has some sort of classification, let's say, of chess mistakes. One of them is doing something. He says that in many situations you have to just go with the flow of the game and make and not try to force matters just because. And one of those instances is when you have a very clear advantage like this occasion. You're a clear pawn up, you have very structure, and of course your mind starts trying to force matters. You start looking at things like knight d3, knight d3. Oh, maybe I can jump to e4. What happens if and it's reasonable, you have to look for this move, but also you have to take some perspective here in the sense that, well, what is contemplate, what is he going to do, because I have a lot of room to just improve my position further and further, and I'm a pawn up, and he's just going to, his position is going to deteriorate in the long run. So in this instance, it's more important uh, to try and identify what he's trying to do and how he's going to create trouble for you, rather than trying to force matters with some forced lines. If you don't see that any of the jumps at this point have a clear idea in mind and it actually works, then a move like Rook FD8, which I really liked seeing, is the way to do things, because you were thinking about 93 and taking on E1. That's right.
Yeah.
You sort of mentioned it by yeah.
Yes. I think I also felt that there wasn't. I could always do that later. And then if I put the rook on d8, I think I still could have played the knight thereafter.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the points. You're just making your pieces better and better. You're put the rooks on the open files, which is fine. It's the right idea, and you're totally right. You can face this bishop with 93 at any. Um, Actually, he went for e4, which is kind of his only counterplay. E5 and at some point knight e4 to try and jump to this. And bishop f2 is coming, maybe the most annoying possibility for you, because then the pawn on b6 is target. The knight on c5 can't easily just go to d3 or b3 because of that. And that can complicate matters. So this was a rather important moment you can play here. You went for e5. It's fine, but it's not that easy, maybe. How do you feel you can?
Oh, you're hello.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
How do you think? Yeah. You played e5 in this position. Really, allowed him to play this plan of bishop f2, and now he's doing something of that bishop.
Yeah, it was
Think
kind of
you can
annoying
play
that
here.
that b6 pawn turned out to be annoying. I think the only thing I was looking at was e5 was I thought I could fix his pawn here, and that it might become a target that I may be able to later on pile up on. That was my main thinking. Um,
Yeah, I like the idea kind of because that concept of fixing the pawn on a square where it will be difficult to defend, it was rather advanced. I like that nuance thinking because yeah, on e4 it's a real time. Uh,
yeah, I also thought that his only bishop is a dark squared bishop, and then I'll have all of these dark squares controlled. I know that it in turn weakens d5, but I thought the pros outweighed the cons. I really thought I had good dark squared control, and I have his bishop under control. Um, but I didn't really look beyond. I didn't really look at White's replies. I mean, I saw this as a possibility, but I didn't really look at the underlying idea of it.
yeah, of course you're still much better and you're always technically winning pro. The thing is, his only chance for some counterplay is to play f2, the bishop to f2, and then have you kind of tied down to the defense of p6, or well, at least he's creating some kind of counterplay on the queen side with bishop. The bishop, which was that horrible on e1, distracted and all that stuff, is now a functional piece and maybe best minor piece all of the sudden. So this is a good time to take some perspective and
Yeah.
think, how can I just
Yeah. Well,
face this
knight
idea?
d3 would
Yeah, 93, I think it's a
and
very...
then yeah, bishop d2, and then I think we may be able to safely take on b2. I don't see
If
it.
bishop d2...
Yeah, I don't see a good discovery for White.
Yeah, it seems like there's no discovery. Maybe
Oh,
bishop g5,
maybe rook b1.
rook b1. Well, you have knight c4 and everything's
Ah, right.
defended.
Yeah. Okay.
I would think about bishop d2, knight b2, bishop g5, maybe bishop g5. It can be sort of complicated. Knight c4, e5, and I guess we have to play h6, but that's not something I would go for. I mean this variation, bishop d2, if knight takes b2, I would think about uh, now the knight on b2 is being threatened by the rook, and he also threatened to play e5, so I don't know, this might be a little confusing, I guess. Maybe not that necessary. I mean, if we can calculate that it works, then that's great. But we have to take knight out of threat, I guess. Hmm.
Um. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about two
What?
things here. Yeah,
Can we counter? Can we counter some way? Whoops. Can we go rook d3?
rook d3. Yeah, I was thinking about that or c8, but I'm a little bit worried that
We're gonna
actually
drop
it's
this
more than a draw.
b6.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
Um,
good. It's then a rook ending and with double pawns. Yeah, that's not good.
yeah, knight takes b2 is a move that we should calculate, but if it starts looking too confusing or white, or it's kind of clear that what strong counterplay, I wouldn't go for it. I mean, you have such a nice advantage and a stable one as that you well part of good technique in imposing a stable advantage is not jeopardizing your whole winnings just because an apparently attractive variation. Um, you can just increase your advantage slowly but surely here. Maybe rook a8, and he can barely move. I mean, if the knight moves, then rook c2. Yeah, I guess he's not doing well here. Maybe even knight g4 just to post the knight on e5, and we have a knight on e5. And the other one on d3, it should be very strong, I guess. Even knight g4, for example. And we go like this, and maybe knight c4 later. It seems like too much. But yeah, knight d3 was a correct idea. And what if bishop f2?
I'd probably take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, yeah, that I think that's definitely the answer. You don't want to give him any kind of unnecessary
Yeah,
counterplay.
that's a strong. That's a strong bishop, and we are a pawn up, and he's got an isolated pawn. I think we could just simplify there.
Yeah, yeah, and your rooks are going to be better placed. I mean, you have the open d5 for your rook already. So there are many advantages that suggest that you shouldn't complicate matters by keeping so many pieces over the board. So yeah, I like this solution with knight d3, and well, just preventing his only active idea with bishop f4. Another possibility was knight g4, maybe considering that this knight is very well placed here, and we can immediately try to make something out of the other one. It is pretty much the same if he goes bishop f2. Let's change that bishop, and we are clear pawn down with up. I'm sorry.
What about
With
h3 though?
yeah, h3. Then I guess you can start your journey with a knight. Well, this is. I guess the knights have very nice prospects here. But yeah, maybe knight d3 is even more clear because then there's not any kind of bishop f2 at any point. Now he can go bishop f2. Well, it's true that you can probably put your knight on d3, but yeah, I guess you can put the knight on d3 after bishop f2, knight knight e d3 maybe. Yeah, I guess this is good for you. Otherwise, you can play rook d7 at this point. Your knight is so much better placed now. His counterplay linked to e4, e5, and knight e4 is now non-existent, and that's good for you. But yeah, your solution with knight d3 is so simple and so clear that there should be no question about it. Of course, you're also preventing 5 because now he can pound, so he can't go for e5 either. And it's very tough to play when your opponent doesn't let you realize your idea. After e5, he kind of gets some type of contemplate. Now there's this question. He could never go for 95, that's true, but I don't know, it's there. it's it's a possibility, and especially the problem is that he can play on on f2. Well, I don't want to confuse matters. You're still winning. You're still a lot better, but well, you might have experienced. I don't know that it gets increasingly difficult. I don't know if you sense that. Well, this is not as easy as it used to be.
Yeah, no, the pawn, the b6 pawn was a pain in the ass to deal with.
Yeah. Now it's a problem. I mean, you have to start calculating some possibilities that he actually gets to question your dominance of file just because it's not that easy to play 93 or 93. So yeah, that can be kind of annoying. You went for knight b3, rook d1. Still, you played well here. You kept dominating the d file, and rook d6. Now he played a very strange move, this rook c2. Well, it actually has a very concrete threat, knight b5, I guess. You have some kind of trouble on the flank and with the b6 pawn. And now you have very move to take, but total control positionally, and again preventing all of his ideas. This is this is actually the part of the game where you kind of lost the thread. It became really complicated.
I can't remember what I played, but I mean, the two moves that seem obvious to me are knight c5 and knight d4.
You went for the rook and it's change of rooks, rook
Oh, really?
e2, but
Yeah,
and you dropped the pawn.
Right. Oh yeah, cause that it looked interesting actually. It doesn't look so bad to me now that I am reminded of it. Yeah, rook d2. But I think rook d2. I simply forgot. Well, are we getting a pawn for a pawn? Let me think. Rook. So like take. Oh yeah, the problem is I forgot that the bishop is attacking the.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you
overlooked that.
mentioned that.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I'm dropping a second pawn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then suddenly he's got like two passed pawns.
Yeah, with the bishop on board, that's a problem because a lateral passed pawn with the support of a bishop and against knight, well, the bishop tends to prevail. uh, it's very easy to push the pawn with the support of the bishop, and the knights are not the best piece to
Oh,
to
is this the
face
game where he
them.
dominates? His bishop dominates me at the end.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then he blunders at the end when he lets me fork his. Okay, I remember now. I remember the game.
Yeah, it was a crazy end. It was very interesting.
Yeah, he got a little complacent.
Yeah. Uh, well, rook d2 actually jeopardizes your advantage, and you probably have to be careful because your queenside pawns are falling, and he gets a passed pawn there. Even if you get 2 pawns in the center, you're in very bad shape. I mean, these pawns are very fast, and your king is so far away, and he has a bishop. Always good with pawns on both wings. In endgames with pawns on both, especially with passed pawns, the bishops are far superior than the knights. They can support pawns, the advance of his own pawns so easily and from such a long distance, while they take control of your own pawns. Well, here he has everything. His king side and central pawns, then it's not such a big deal if he gets to just eliminate all of your pawns on the queen side because his king is so near. He has the bishop and he can start rolling the pawns on the queen side. You're going to be in trouble here. It's kind of terrifying. Actually, you can keep some control of this because you're able to actually take one of the pawns after knight c4 late. But still, it's not ideal. I mean, in this position, in the current position, you're actually winning at least, or at least you have a very clear. And how do you think you can just prevent knight b5 and keep total control of the position with giving up any?
Well, knight d4 looks like an option. Hello?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I thought knight d4. Um, if he
94.
if he takes, we're attacking, but if he moves, we could go here. I guess he could possibly come into rook e2. He's defending the pawn twice.
Okay, 94. Yeah, I'm a bit worried about tactics, but looks possible. Then- yeah, I'm a little bit worried about after 94. Well, we have to calculate this knight b5 right away.
Oh, I forgot about back rank problems.
It
Annoying.
looks really strange, but yeah, there are some
I forgot about back
problems.
rank. Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
which is the whole reason he played rook c2.
yeah, he's threatening this knight b5, but yeah, if you can prevent that, then he has absolutely nothing going for him. And that's actually a very simple move. I mean, with rook d2, well, it's kind of anybody's game after that. But if you just go rook c6, it might not seem like much. It looks like a sad move, but it's actually annoying to face this white because black is just playing to stabilize his advantage. You want to have a stable advantage and you to just prevent any kind of counterplay he has here because in the long run the extra pawn is going to be felt. And well, the thing is that he can't just go to d2, so he's not getting the d5, and he is not threatening anything at this point. And afterwards, you're just going to bring your king to the center, and you can gang up on the pawn on e4 at some point, I guess. You're going to play knight c5. Well, if the knight starts jumping around, you might as well win material. With rook c6, he's left with a very sad position. I know it doesn't seem relevant to move, but this prophylactic way of thinking and playing, especially when you have this kind of stable position advantage, is what brings the points home. uh, your priority at this point should be just closing any kind of. You have to cancel his possibility to counterplay, and you're going to be fine. Actually, this puts you in danger because your queens and pawns are disappearing. Your knight c4 is sound. I saw that you were thinking about it, and you took the correct decision. This is the endgame I'm talking about, where your bishop is his bishop is far superior to your knight. You're lost here, and there's no need for any kind of calculation. This is most probably at least lost for black. The pawns are very very quick, and the bishop does an excellent job of just helping them advance while the bishop is very far away. For example, you can put the bishop on g1 if you wish, and he's still supporting the advance of the pawns while he takes all the advanced squares for your own pawns. So these endgames tend to be horrible for the side with the knight. So your knight c4 is very sound. You're trying to eliminate at least one of those. Bishop c7. And now you took directly on b2, which is fine, but maybe you can.
I was just also
Yeah,
entertaining wrong colored bishop. Possibly later on I can bring in the king. Thinking long term.
Yeah, there are many pawns still over the board, regrettably. But yeah, it's important that the winning square, the promoting square, is in the same color because if the pawn get to pass the middle of the board and it's the same, the bishop controls the winning square, then you're in huge trouble. So yeah, it's an important detail. Maybe you can just improve your knight before it's changing these two knights, because these two pawns, because now you can go to these seats and your knight is actually closer to queen side. From these seats you threaten this guy and you get to play a seat. It might not be much, but it can be an improvement.
Yeah, I had a 3.5 minutes, and I didn't want him having a 2-to-1 pawn majority, so I was fairly happy with at least eliminating one pawn. I thought it would be easier to deal with one pawn versus two. So I don't really regret the move too much, considering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but actually, well, there's a good lesson here too. You very much prefer that he's with a B pawn rather than an A pawn because it's closer to the center.
Okay.
His priority should be to get an A pawn, and your priority should be to eat the A pawn and leave him with the B pawn. It might not seem like much, but the fact is that in many endgames, when your king gets, it's so different to get the B pawn and leave your king closer to the center rather than having to go for the A pawn. It might seem a small nuance, but it's very relevant. So you'll be happy here, for example, after something like this happens, if he plays b3 and then knight takes, and you get to post a knight on answer on b5 probably, and yeah, and you're going to you're better placed here to play for a draw. Um, with an A pawn, it'll be much more
Yeah,
difficult.
and I can get in the square.
Yeah, you're already blocking the pawn.
Yeah, I'm already in the square of the pawn, actually.
Yeah. b2, bishop takes a5, and he has that A pawn, which is very annoying. Bishop b4, knight d2. Well, yeah, now the pawn runs really fast.
Yeah, I thought. I know that knights can be faster than they look, and it's true that the knight can actually still defend the pawn. But I forgot that the bishop could dominate my knight, where my knight could not actually get a single square to come back.
Yeah, you need to put a knight on the light square in front of the pawn ASAP. As soon as possible, you have to get a knight to a6, I guess. Knight d7, knight b8, and knight a6 should be the way. Or even if you get a knight to c6 and you prevent a5, that would be great. For example, a4 here, maybe you can play knight b8 and knight c6, so you prevent from going a5. But yeah, you had to run towards that pawn, and I guess this should be your draw. It's annoying to play with black because even if this pawn doesn't get to it's kind of tying you down to the idea that it's going to advance, so your pieces are kind of committed to just waiting for for to prevent him from advancing. But after knight d2, yeah, the pawn pawn is so fast. You're pawn up, but well, as you said, knight is completely dominated, and the pawn can go forward. And well, now he missed. You notice when you go to the
Yeah.
position, you notice that bishop a5. He can
Yeah.
always dominate the knight from a
Mhm.
proper distance. He gave you an extra opportunity here. Knight b6. You're still losing because
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
so far
and
away.
it's funny because what happened in the game when the plan that I can't stay there forever because his king is going to come in. I thought the same problem, and I think White had the same idea, and then we both I think overlooked that. Hey, there's a fork at the end. What happened? Yeah.
Yeah, he lost the a pawn. That was a relief. Bishop c5, knight a8, and now well he stepped on the mine square.
Yeah, it's so easy.
uh,
I think that's a very easy mistake because you're not looking at forks here. You're looking at your plan, right? Like
yeah,
under a tip.
I'm just going to promote.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, after a7, well, he's of course winning because not only he's getting to your knight, he's going to promote.
Hmm.
And that's a problem. Uh, but now you got a second or third life.
Yeah, I was so happy. But then he actually he dominates the knight again and actually gets the knight. I
Yeah,
I
he's going to
I thought
win.
I thought I would still win here. Although I could have. I remember looking at the game after. I think was that this game?
Yeah, bishop d6 was apparently a mistake. It's
I
very tough to say
think
why because it's pure calculation at this point.
I think this
Um,
game the computer it said black was winning if I played f5 or e4. But
um,
I thought that black could still defend there.
yeah, I think instead of bishop d6, he had to stay with the bishop on a3 for some reason. Uh, it wasn't. There were some finesses. Um, no, you played well here. King f7. If you play e4 right away, problem I
It
see
might not
is
have been here.
that
It might have been in a couple moves from here.
yeah, king f7 was fine, and after king b7, you
Oh,
play
oh, oh.
king
That was
e6.
the problem because it allows him to go bishop a3. Um,
Yeah,
and I thought,
still it's a very small finesse in this.
yeah, I'm surprised that. So instead of this, I think computer was recommending f5 or e4 right away. But I considered e4, but I thought it was kind of
His,
fruitless. I thought he's
his
still going to
play.
be able to stop it.
Oh, I think it was like king and if bishop f8. I think that bishop f8 was his real mistake. Now you can play for. Um,
Oh, but takes a knight.
yeah, he can take the knight. There's still nothing there.
Okay,
Yeah, this should be it.
let me turn
Well,
on.
but if he goes back, then king 5, and you're shouldering this king, so you don't let him go near your pawn, and you're going to get another passed pawn. White king doesn't participate, then you're going to promote.
Mm.
That might be the case
Yeah, I guess
here.
the bishop has to babysit this square, and the king keeps the other king out, and then we still have three more pawns, and then it'll probably end
Yeah,
up being the two pawns, and then the bishop can't stop both.
yeah. The main point is that he can't take on g7 because
Mm.
that possibility is out of the question. This bishop is sort of misplaced here. Yeah, maybe it's a bit difficult to go near the pawn because you're shouldering. Yeah, this could be difficult. I don't know if it's really tough to say, yeah, this is a win because there's still so much calculation to do.
Yeah,
And
and
even that way, it's humanly impossible, but this looks like it makes sense for black. White is in real danger.
yeah, there was only 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes left. So
Yeah.
I'm not beating myself up too much about missing that. But
No, even in a classical time controlled over the wall game, it would be very difficult to play this end game. I mean, the nuances are so small. Uh, who would think that Bishop F8 is a terrible mistake? It's it's so difficult to notice any kind of difference. After King F7, he didn't go for repetition. Bishop D6, but he played Bishop A3, and it now looks like a draw. Apparently, your king is a little bit uh, further from the center, and you didn't play E4, so those two tempi that it's going to take you to bring the king and support the pawns. I guess that's more than enough for him to hold. For example, king and king take. Yeah, I don't think you're going to. Well, that way you don't even get to play three. That can be a good answer. Yeah, those two tempis should be a problem for white. And go before they take, and you go with three. He has king b5, and
yeah,
he gets
yeah.
to see. Now your king. It's important.
What about
I mean, if black is, yeah,
F5 instead? Oh, that doesn't. No,
uh,
that doesn't help. No, because I can't play F4.
yeah, you're kind of, yeah, even you're even risking getting your pawns blocked on dark squares and losing the game.
I was really surprised
Uh,
that the four connected pawns wasn't going to beat. I really thought that I was going to win this. Because his king is on the other side of the board. My king is close.
yeah,
I really thought that this would be enough. Like
yeah,
even just like a few moves from now in what happened in the game.
yeah. I was calculating G5 and those kind of stuff. So, well, you're threatening my pawn, then I put my pawns in motion. Still, I didn't quite see how you were going to win this because you don't get the time to play. Um, you don't get the time to advance your pawn and shoulder white's king. You need to shoulder the white king so that he doesn't get into play, because if he gets to c4, it's going to be very to get anything. So that, I guess that's why e4 after bishop f8, e4 is so. That was what that king f7 was again. E4 is so critical. Uh, as bishop takes, g7 is a possibility because the pawn just starts advancing.
Can it though? I mean, can't he go like
Well, but
this?
now your knight
I forgot about that. Oh, and that's what
h2.
happened in the game too. I forgot that he has to actually take my knight still. He hasn't won it. He still has to
Yeah,
spend a move to take it. I forgot about that.
yeah, it's really close. It's almost a win. This king f7, yeah, it removes the king from the center, so you're not going to be able to shoulder the white king. It's very important that it doesn't get back in time. Well, after king g6, it's okay because you're going for the king side pawns. Like, it's not going to be more than it. And now, yeah, he has this resource of playing bishop f8. He missed it
Yeah,
at
yeah,
this point. Still, it's a draw.
yeah. Because I think I can.
Worst case scenario for you.
Yeah, and I can still push the e pawn. I think.
I know it wasn't the idea, but At this point, I don't think you have the resources to win
I
this.
really thought that this would win. I thought 4 pawns, no problem. I was surprised.
Should be a win.
Yeah, I thought it. Yeah, maybe if all my pawns were like one square up.
Yeah, it might be a matter of one or two tempi.
Yeah,
Uh, G6, well, you have bishop f8, bishop g7, 3, but it's another tempo, and he's getting closer and closer. Bishop e7, he gets control of the promoting square rather easy. So, well, everything ended up being its, yeah, there's no way around it now. It was a very interesting game. And probably probably it was at this point that you had a good opportunity of playing e4 and take advantage of the fact that your king is very near the center. It's center actually, and you're already pushing your pawns. Uh, this endgame might very difficult to hold for white. He doesn't get to c4, then you can push df pawn 2 in the future and help your pawns with your king. And his king doesn't get back. That's very strong for him. I'm not entirely sure that this wins still a long way, but uh, comparing it to the game, that king c4 actually got to the pawns very fast. Had to content yourself with the fact that winning the 2 pounds and uh, it was a very rich game. It was very interesting from every point of view. That tactic with uh, bishop takes f4 was inside.
you mean F2?
Bishop takes f2.
Mm.
This bishop takes f2.
Yeah.
That was very interesting. And then, well, as you see, when you're material up and you're clearly dominating, sometimes it's more a matter of not doing too much, trying to keep control and preventing your opponent's counterplay rather than matters.
Yeah, one of the things that very, 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 very simple thing that you mentioned in the game, but I totally agree with, is here when he plays Queen E2. Not only is White willing to trade queens, but he's actually instigating it. But I liked Knight E5 here, basically kind of getting a free tempo out of the matter, just improving the knight, because, and even if White doesn't trade, we still get this, we still improve the knight. So I like this as a possibility because there's no other moves that we have to worry about here. Because I mean, if he goes something like Rook AC1, maybe we can still trade and then we still have the knight here.
Yeah, actually, for example, Rook isn't even threatening any discoveries at this point.
Oh, and there's
93. Well, the queen is still undefended, so Rook F1 maybe.
Oh, but can't well, we could take here and then this might be a pain.
Yeah, that's really annoying. Rook C2, Rook AC8, and pieces are stepping over each other.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to be good for one. Even Rook F8, like possibility. He doesn't have any discoveries, and if he doesn't trade right away, well, so be it. I mean, his king is so open that you're not entirely sure that you want the queens to go away. And if the queens go away, well, at least you're getting your pieces very good squares, and it's not quite all that clear how he's going to untangle here. And yeah, those little details, as we were saying, make a lot of difference. I mean, this is so annoying that it's so possible that he just goes wrong and ends up hanging something because, well, when every move is so difficult to play. Um, yeah, it was very interesting throughout. Even the end game. The end game was very exciting.
It was a long
Post
game. That
counting
was
time was.
just under 1 hour for an online game. That's very long. Yeah,
Whoa! Yeah, that's a lot.
yeah,
Well, in 15 plus 10, that's a lot.
yeah.
Okay, when are you playing tournament?
I'm leaving on Friday, so in a couple
Okay.
days. What is it? It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Well, in 3 days, I'm leaving. Yeah, I don't know how I'll
Um,
do. I've noticed that normally around this time, the number of registered players increases as we get closer to the tournament. But I've been watching it, and it's actually been decreasing. Um, and I actually believe it's because of the coronavirus. I think people are a little scared of that. Also,
uh,
the venue where we're playing is very very close to the airport, so I actually think that that may be a reason why the numbers are actually declining slightly.
uh, are there any registered cases of coronavirus there?
Yeah, there's in my province there's I think um, 3 or 4 people that have it, but no deaths. They just have the virus, but it's not a big like Canada is. It's not a big problem here, but I'm thinking because they even if I just show you on stream here. Well, oh, sorry, no, you're not in my stream, but yeah, because I noticed that I was number 4, the number 4 seed in my section, and now I'm number 3, which also
Okay.
means it also means that it's going to be very hard for me to gain rating. I basically have to win all my games, or else I'm going to lose more rating again.
Yeah, but don't put that pressure on you. That's a big burden. I mean, start thinking about the rating, you forget about the game. That's an absolute rule. I mean, every rule has exceptions in chess, except that one. And yeah, it's impossible to play with in the back of your mind.
What about you? Do
It
you
doesn't
have?
even let you enjoy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've kind of given up on my rating a few tournaments ago, so I don't really mind losing rating points anymore. The way I look at it is, if my rating goes down, it just gives me a better chance to to win future tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, uh, yeah, the rating comes with as you progress. It's inevitable that your rating goes up. I mean, it's just a matter of time. I know that if you keep playing these rating categories, it's very difficult because there are many underrated guys out there with a very low rating. They are tough games, but yeah, it's just a matter of time. At some point, you're going to go up your different rating category, and you're going to start winning more points. That's going to happen sooner or later. I'm sorry, you were going to ask me something?
I probably forgot, but I'm just
Uh,
uh, if I just go to the chat here, I just sent you a link in Discord.
yeah, this
You can
is
take a quick peek. If you click on that, there's 4 sections in this tournament. Currently, there's one IM, one FM, one NM. Yeah, so if you go to that link, I'm in the
yeah,
under 1500 section. If you scroll down, I'm currently
yeah.
number 3.
Here it is. Yeah, you're number 3.
Yeah,
Fine, yeah.
and
Hmm. Very well-known games here. Names: Jeffrey
yeah.
Street,
Yeah,
Tyler
Jeffrey Street,
Fox.
that's the one that I was winning in the French Tirage and completely dominating for 90% of the game, and then I got low on
I
time.
know all of these guys.
Yeah. Exactly. Tyler Fowler, Irwin, these little kids. Yeah, so it's
Erwin, yeah.
yeah, that's
June Hartford,
the
yeah.
7-year-old kid. Yeah. Even I played Jason Sunardi before. I've played not most of these, but I played a lot of them. Most of them
Yeah,
are
here he is.
yeah, most of
Yeah.
them are like kids 10 years and under. That's like most of the players in my section. And then there's a few adults, like number 1 seed, Eric Gu is an adult, and number 4, number 6. So there's a few adults spread in between, but it's mostly little kids.
Yeah, and they tend to get better and better. Really.
Yeah, if you take a quick look,
Yeah.
If you scroll up to the top section, the premier section, at the very, very top,
Yeah.
and if you look at number 28 and number 24, I played each of them. So Nathan Pingying Wu, so number 24, and number 28, Ryan.
83.
Yeah, so I played them a year ago in the same tournament, and they were like 1,400, both of them. And this is just a year later. Just a year later, they gained 400 points in a year. And I actually drew both games at that time. But yeah, that's fast, eh? In a year, 400 points in a year. Wow.
Yeah, that gives you an idea that they were 1,400 players by the time you play them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you again, as always, for the lesson. Next week should be very interesting because I'll have 6 tournament games that we can look over.
Yeah, a whole new set of games. Well,
Yes.
Well, have fun, enjoy the games, don't think too much about the rating, and everything's going to be fine.
Okay.
Okay, Tyler.
Yeah.
See you.
Yeah. Thank you again. I'll see you next week.
Have a good trip.
Thanks.
See you.
Bye.